Hi, Miss Scott.
It's good to see you today. So, yesterday, if you recall, we discussed a strategy that we're going to be going over for the next couple of weeks. And so, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to model that strategy. I'm going to show you how to do the steps um, and what it looks like. Yesterday, I gave you this sheet, which kind of outlines what the study cards would look like. So, I want you to go ahead and keep this nearby so you can kind of reference it as we're talking. Um, and today we're going to solely work on the strategy. And so, in order to do that, what I've done is I've chosen some words that aren't real words. They're up here on the board. They're actually made up words. We're just going to pretend like these are words that were recently discovered from a lost civilization. And so, a couple of things. As I'm teaching this and modeling the steps to you, I want to make sure that you are listening and watching what I'm doing, and I've also given you a stack of your own cards. So after I'm done modeling, then you can start practicing on your own too. Okay. So the first one I will completely model, and you can just watch, and then the second one. You can actually do it with me as I model it. Okay? Understand?
Yeah.
All right. And so up here I have our link strategy, just to remember that, so that I remember the steps and so that you do too. Okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my index card and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to fold it the long way. And in elementary school, they say that's the hot dog way. And then I'm going to fold it once more. And they normally say that's the hamburger way. Okay. And then once I unfold my paper, it should look like this. 4 rectangles on it. Okay. And now I'm ready to start working on my steps. And so my first step is list the parts. And so the words that I'm learning are over here, and this is my word. And so I'm going to put that at the top, in the middle of those 2 rectangles. So I'm going to write Zibble. I'm going to put a circle around it, just so I know that that's the word that I'm trying to remember. That's the important word. And then I'm going to flip the card over, and exactly on the opposite side of where Zibble was, I'm going to write the definition. And so when you are looking up these definitions of the words, we don't have to always put word for word, but instead what I want to do is I want to choose the most important words from the definition. And so it's already outlined here for me, so I'm going to put food, made from grain and honey. All right. So I'm done with step 1. Step 2 is identifying a reminding word. And so I flipped my card back over, and under where I wrote Zibble, I'm going to write my reminding word. And so my reminding word should be a real word. It should be a meaning of a word that I already know, and that helps me to remember my new word. And so it could be kibble, but the word kibble, I mean, it's kind of about food. It's normally talking about small pieces of dog food. So I don't know if that's the best word. Or it could be nibble, and nibble means to eat something, which is kind of related to my definition. So I'm going to choose the word nibble. So I'm going to write that right under Zibble. All right.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go to step 3, which is note a linking story. So I'm going to flip my card over. And in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to think of a story that would incorporate my reminding word, and I want my story to be short and sweet. And so, how about I put, he nibbled on the grain after putting honey on it. He nibbled on the grain after putting honey on it. All right, so I have one block left, and that's going to be my step 4, create a linking picture. And so I want to make sure that my linking picture contains parts related to the important ideas to the definition, and that it's related to my reminding word. And so what I was thinking I could do was draw a little piece of bread, because bread, as you know, is a piece of grain. And I'm going to spread some honey on it. And then, since it's a food, and we've been talking about nibble, I'm going to draw a little man right here. And he's going to be nibbling on that. All right? So this is what I've done.
Okay.
So I'm done with my study card part, but my last step for links is to self-test. And so in order to self-test, there's 2 ways that I can test myself. I can go forwards first, or I could go backwards. So we'll start with forwards, and then we'll do backwards too. So forwards, I'm going to say the word. So my word was zibble. I'm going to say my reminding word, and my reminding word was nibble. I'm going to think of my linking story, and my linking story was that he nibbled on the grain after he put honey on it. And then I'm going to think of my linking picture, and I have my little man, and he was eating the bread with the honey on it, right? And then I'm going to say the meaning of the new word, and my word is a food made from grain and honey. And then I'm going to check and make sure that I got everything right. Okay? If I do it backwards, then I'm going to say the meaning of the new word, which I know it's the food made from grain and honey. Then I'm going to think of my linking picture, and I had that little man, and he was eating the bread with the honey on it. And I'm going to think of my linking story, and my linking story was that he nibbled on the grain after putting honey on it. And then I'm going to think of my reminding word, which was nibble. And then I'm going to say my word, which was zibble. And so then I'm going to check to make sure I was right. And I got it right. So that's basically how we're going to do it. So we're going to do another one together. This time while I'm modeling, I want you to go ahead and do it with me. Okay? And so, again, we're going to get our note card, and we're going to fold it in half. Remember, we fold it in half long ways first.
Hot dog.
Hot dog way, that's right. Then we're going to fold it again.
Hamburger.
Hamburger, right. So I got my hot dog and my hamburger folds. And now I need to list the parts. So on the front side of my card, I'm going to write the word Tamar. And I'm going to put a circle around it so that I remember that that's the word that I'm studying. I'm going to flip my note card over, and on the back, I'm going to write the definition, or the important parts of the definition, which we already know. It's up on the board. I'm going to write a wild horse. All right, so I'm done with step 1. Now it's time for step 2. I'm going to identify a reminding word. So, all right, so Tamar kind of sounds like the word tomorrow, but I don't know if that has anything to do with a wild horse. But it also kind of sounds like the word tame. And that might make sense because tame would be the opposite of wild. So that, that kind of relates. So I'm going to put tame under Tamar. So I've identified my reminding word, and now it's time for me to do step 3 and note a linking story. So I'm going to turn the card over, and in my bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to do my linking story. And so remember, I want to somehow incorporate that word tame into it. So I'm going to say, but I also want to incorporate my definition. So I want to incorporate both of those things. So I'm going to say tame the wild horse. All right, so now I've finished my linking story, and now it's time for me to do step 4. I need to create a linking picture. And so I'm not a very good artist, but I'm going to try to draw a horse. Again, this is my index card for me to remember these words. So how it ends up working or how it ends up looking is really most important for me and not other people. Okay, so I'm done with my pieces of my study card, but I haven't finished all my steps. I still have step 5 to do, and I need to self-test. And so, remember, I can do it forwards or I can do it backwards. So if I do it forwards, I'm going to say the word. So my word was Tamar. I'm going to say my reminding word. My reminding word was tame. I'm going to think of my linking story. My linking story was that tame the wild horse. I'm going to think of my picture, and I remember I drew a horse. And then I'm going to say the meaning of the word. And the meaning of the new word was a wild horse. I'm going to check my card to make sure I'm correct. Okay? So, and then if I decide that I want to self-test myself and do it backwards, I'm going to say the meaning of the new word, which would be a wild horse. I'm going to think of my linking picture, which I drew a horse. I'm going to think of my linking story, which I talked about, tame the wild horse. Then I'm going to think of my reminding word, which was tame. I'm going to say my new word, and my new word was Tamar. So basically, either of those self-tests are fine to use. It's just which one you prefer and which one works best for you. So, and another thing to remember, once we've created all of our index cards for these words up here, a really good way to see if I am learning is that I can self-test myself, and I can study more than one word at a time, because I could divide my index cards into piles. So I could say, these I feel like I've mastered, these I feel like I've studied, maybe I need a little bit more practice, and then these are to be learned. So that would be another strategy that I could use as I was using my index cards and trying to learn my new words.